What the Speak, episode 59. Well, tamalama ding dang.
Do you kick ass when you speak, present, or pitch? If not, these expert discussions and insider tips can help you right now, today. Welcome to the What the Speak podcast. I'm your host, Brian Kelly.
Struggling with feeling comfortable in front of an audience when you present? Or maybe you're confident, but you have difficulty stumbling over filler words like and ah. Well, you can start kicking ass today by signing up for our weekly VIP updates. As a bonus, you'll also receive 11 free tips that will uncover 6 psychological secrets to public speaking, plus 5 tips on how to stop using filler words. Go to whatthespeak.com/VIP. Jessica Kizorek, are you ready to answer the question, what the speak?
Yes, I am.
All right. I love the enthusiasm, Jessica. So, real quick, you are what they call an author and a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
You're a video producer,
Mm-hmm.
founder of the Badass Businesswoman Movement, which I'm curious to find out about. And you've also been named one of CNN's Young People Who Rock. So I am eager to talk with you and dive into your story, your experiences with public speaking. Are you ready?
That's like one of the best introductions I have ever gotten before. I love it. You are really good. All right, hit me. I'm ready. I'm super ready.
All right. So let's start off with, I would love for you really quick to share with everybody, what is the topic or topics that you're usually speaking on when you're asked to come and deliver a keynote or some type of presentation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing that I specialize in is talking about marketing and fundraising with video on the internet. So I own a video production company and I produce video content for my clients to go then use as part of their fundraising efforts. A lot of my clients are nonprofit organizations. So I also get, like, I'm giving upcoming the #1 keynote speech to the largest conference in the state of Florida for fundraising professionals. It's the AFP. I've spoken, and here's a tip right off the bat. I've spoken at numerous local AFPs. Like, I've given 3 speeches to them for free as public service over the years, because I'm in the community and in the city, and it's a good way for me to speak to audiences and get new clients, so it works. When it works to do free speaking engagements, do those. Because I gave 3 of these to AFP, and now they've, hired me to come and do the #1 keynote. Yeah.
Nice. So that's like their annual conference then that they're going to have in Miami?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. So we've got your topic. Now let's dive into your origin story, how you got started in this. Were you one of those people that just woke up and said, I want to be a keynote speaker? Or was there this journey? And I'm sure there's this journey. So please tell us a little bit about, where it began, how it got started, how you were able to get to this level of where people are paying you to come and speak.
Well, I've been on this, I'm 33 years old, and I've been on this journey for 33 years. I started the day I was born because my father was a public speaker and an entrepreneur. So I always joke with people that I have 30 years of business experience because, ever since I could talk, we were talking about my dad's business and his clients and the salaries and the company and the employees and the cameras. And my dad was in the surveillance business, and he was super famous guy. Like, he was on the Oprah show, and he pioneered legislation, and he, did all this stuff. So I grew up, he and I are like 2 peas in a pod, I've always admired him. I grew up, he called me up on stage actually when I was, I think, 16. I was in the audience. He was speaking to a a group of about 300 doctors, 300 doctors. And I was sitting in the front just watching my dad give the speech. And then all of a sudden he goes, and now I would like to bring my daughter, Jessica Kizorek, up on the stage, and she's going to help me give part of the speech. And so he pulled me up in front of 300 people, and I'm just up there like, all right, well, I don't even know, but I'm relaxed. So that's how I began enjoying that and understanding the relationship between public speaking and getting paid more money to do my video production company, to do my consulting. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's been a conduit to business.
That's awesome. I mean, I'd have to say you're probably the first person who I've had on the show have a story like that. I mean, it's literally since the very beginning, you've kind of been on this journey, which is
second
so cool.
generation.
Yeah, love it. I love it. So, yeah, a lot of the folks in the audience know a little bit about my story and the fact that for me, not quite the same. I mean, that's a great story, but for me, it was Mrs. Bradley's second grade class when she would call on different students to stand up and read a passage from the chapter we were studying. Like I was the kid that was jumping up and down, waving my hand to be called on because I loved showing off that I could read clearly and concisely, what that passage was and not stumble over my words. And that was kind of the starting point for me that led me on this journey. So it's pretty interesting. All right. Now let's talk about, you've got such an interesting start. What have been some things that you've struggled with? Maybe it was in those early years. Maybe it's something today, now that you feel like you want to keep improving, that you want to get better and better at. Is there anything that you can share with us?
Yeah, I'm really focused now. It's like, okay, I've given enough speeches and I've written enough books. Like I wrote this book. It's called Show Me Marketing with Video on the Internet. It's like a little laptop with a video in the middle. It's written by me. So it's like good. And this is like I didn't make any money selling this book, but I give it away to people and they immediately hire me to produce videos for them. And I interviewed all these people and it's hardcover, right? So I was like, it matters, and then I've written like this book is cool. I've played with print on demand. This is Badass Business Women, the Manifesto. And, that's like really pretty design, branding, having something to say, like being a thought leader, putting out a blog, getting people to follow you. It's like yesterday I went to meet Ariana Huffington. She was on a book tour. And I actually got to meet her, and I gave her, we traded books. She signed one for me, and I signed one for her and gave her this book. She loved it. And I gave her a present from Nepal that she loved too. But while I was there with the Chamber of Commerce, I probably had like 5 women from the Chamber of Commerce that came up to me that said, listen, we haven't seen each other for years, but I've been reading your blog. I just read about your trip to Nepal and Tokyo and the work you're doing for the U.S. government. And oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And just watching you for all these years really grow up and share your business stories with us. It's so inspiring. And I doubled my business because of this one email that you sent out that one time. And then they like recite my emails back to me. And it's real intense, It's really cool because I think part of being, I also wrote a book called Digitally Speaking, which is all about speaking, like video conferencing like this. Yeah. Like we're speaking over the internet digitally. Digitally Speaking is the name of the book. It's just, it's all coming together. And the reason I brought it all back is because I've now come to the point where I've given enough speeches. I have enough credibility. I have a cool business card. This is my business card.
Awesome. Right? Love it.
Yeah. So, and it's, and people have to figure out what to do with it. And they're like, can I bend it? And I'm like, do whatever you want to do with it. And I watch people, I study the psychology behind the card. And they're like, some people just like crush it. And some people are like, oh, I have to put it in a notebook. And then they go fishing through their whole luggage to get the right place to put it. It's really cute. But now I want to monetize, like, because the thing is with speakers is there's a lot of research that says if you are like a solopreneur, meaning you're someone who's operating your business, delivering the service, you're a speaker, you speak for money, you go hustle for business, all that stuff, you pretty much cap out at $250,000 gross revenue a year. That's pretty much as you can handle without employees and without like the whole nine yards. So I broke through that, but now I'm like my next milestone is 2.5 million. And now I'm really dealing with the business structure of it. Like, what kind of packages do I have to put together? And who am I going to sell them to that has 6-figure consulting gigs? One of my friends works for Google, and I was on the phone with her yesterday. Like, how do I package myself so that I can sell price points of $100,000, $250,000, $500,000, because those are the price points I'm going to need if I want to have a company that grosses 2.5 million a year. So I'm really thinking about the numbers behind the business and how am I putting my entire business on the cloud too? Like I'm using online software and platforms, everything from QuickBooks to all the Citibank apps that plug into the PayPal, that plug into Constant Contact, which plugs into my email system, which plugs into my CRM. But really, if you want to make a lot more than $250,000 a year, you got to start scaling. And that's the tricky part because we want to keep our like little baby lifestyle businesses and stuff. But ultimately, that's what I'm focused on right now is the growth of it. Sorry, that's a long-winded answer.
No, it's good. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I think is interesting for the folks who are really, they've gotten to a certain level, like you've kind of described, where you want to go to the next level. And some of the challenges that you face, there's some definite serious pivot points that you need to be able to swing on to get to that next plateau, or not even that plateau, but that next level in the pyramid, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, to hear your insights into that is definitely something that's a big help. Cool. All right. So $2.5 million it is. I will need to map out my plan to get to $2.5 million now. You've inspired me.
Share it with me. I want to hear.
All right. You're like, let me know, Brian, when you figured it out.
Don't careful what you promise. Yeah. I'll start nagging you about it.
Oh, right. Cool. All right.
Tell me. What else? I'm ready for the next question.
So what I'd love to do now is focus on the area of expertise that you've developed through all of the years that you've been in these situations, had these experiences. And the thing that I really am curious about is this whole badass thing. Mm-hmm. So what exactly does it mean to be a badass, and specifically a badass businesswoman?
Well, let me tell you, as one piece of advice for your listeners is you really need to be able to communicate your vision for your business and what you're up to clearly in one sentence. And for 4 years, I've been trying to figure out what I'm doing with this, because the fact is that, I speak at all the women's groups. Like I've spoken at the Women's Chamber of Commerce, and I've spoken at the Women in E-commerce, and I've spoken to the women in this business and that business, and all of the associations in South Florida that have anything to do with women or marketing. I've spoken to them over the years. And, I saw that the business events were so like uptight. they were just like stifling to me, and you had to go with your suit and then exchange your business card and repeat the same thing 30 times and like just pray that somebody was going to be there that would make it worth your while to get out there. Right. And so I wanted to do something that was more fun in business, that was more like energized, that was more young, that was more like getting together to f around but plan to conquer the world, and and come up with big ideas and big ambitions and figure out how we could collaborate together, but have it be more of a think tank kind of dynamic and exploration. And so I just started a blog called Badass Businesswomen, and I looked at what is the word, like the word itself is very important because I'm a linguist, I'm a poet, and let me show you something. I have tattoos, right? And so I have tattoos of words, right? Okay. And so words really matter to me. And the word badass really matters to me because it's a very young and it's a very modern word. It's very much like our youth culture is searching for other ways to do business different than whatever that is. Because high schoolers aren't really inspired by these women that come in these things. They want like someone, like I go to speaking events and this is what I wear. Like this is what I wear on stage when I do my speaking events, right?
Are those Doc Martens?
Yes. Look, and I have another pair too. Right? But I just wanted to do something fun, like be an entertainer, be like more of a Lady Gaga kind of figure, so that people would want to like come and see my speeches and get riled up. And we used to have Absolute Vodka would sponsor all of our things, so everybody would like be drinking Absolute, and you know, it was like more fun way of making business connections happen.
Well, I mean that's such a good lesson because a lot of us, you know, especially those of us that are just getting started, we have this idea of who we think we should be when we get before an audience. Yeah. And wherever that's come from, kind of in our collective psyche, that is so not what you should be doing. You should be embracing what's unique about yourself. You should embrace really the understanding of like, what does your audience need? What do they crave?
And what makes you different from every other speaker out there? Let me give you an example. I have a client, and the client is called the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, and they're a nonprofit, and they teach high school students in low-income housing in areas how to start businesses. So they knew that I was doing a trip around the world. I took a 19-day trip to Amsterdam, Bangkok, Thailand, Nepal, Tokyo, Chicago, Wisconsin, back down to Miami. I was gone for 5 weeks total. And my client knew that I was going to be in Tokyo, and he said, you know, Jessica, I know about your blog, Badass Businesswomen. I think that's very interesting that you're talking about that. It's very provocative, and it gets people thinking, and it catches people's attention, and it makes people ask questions of themselves of like, what does that mean? And it wakes people up. And I think you should talk to our friends in Tokyo at the U.S. Embassy. Because Japan's number one economic thing that the prime minister is like driving his whole re-election campaign on this is empowering women in the workforce, right? So all of a sudden I became top of mind for empowering women in business in a fun, young way. And then somebody's making a referral to me for the U.S. government, State Department, to be an official ambassador diplomat representing the United States. So listen to this. I go to this meeting and I'm just thinking like, oh, whatever, we'll say hi and then we'll never talk again, right? And they're so enchanted by what I'm talking about like alternative ways of doing business and living a lifestyle like you and I live, where go for 2 to 3 weeks. Like that's incredible. That's what the new digital economy allows us to do. But not everybody understands the ins and outs. It's like a little rabbit hole that you and I understand. So, next thing you know, they're at the end of a 90-minute conversation. I'm sitting across this wooden table from the State Department people, and I'm on the other side with my dad and my friend. So it's like this whole thing, and they're like, "We want you to come back and do a speaking tour on behalf of the U.S. government as part of our U.S.-Japan friendship initiative, where we're bringing in role models from the United States to inspire young Japanese women. And it's part of our thing that we're doing this whole thing." And they're like, it's not that much money. It's only just a modest honorarium of $200 a day and all expenses paid, trip everywhere. And they arrange all the details and all the translators and all the media appearances and all the television and all the government official meetings. They're like, "But would you be interested in dedicating your time? And that would be very generous of you." And I'm sitting here thinking like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're offering me to do this speaking tour. This is crazy." Like my dream come true,
And you have to play it cool, and you have to be like, possibly.
Freaking Doc Martens. And I'm going to speak over there, the Doc Martens. Everybody's going to freak out.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to be a Japanese anime character.
That's awesome. Well, cool. All right, Jessica. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up our discussion with some rapid fire Q&A. Are you working out right now or listening to this episode while driving? If so, I know you're not able to leave a rating and review in iTunes at the moment. However, next time you're in front of your computer or smartphone, could you be sure to do so? Just go to whatthespeak.com/audio or whatthespeak.com/video. Thanks so much for your support. So Jessica, let's dive right in. First question. Let's just do what comes in your mind, spit it out, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Okay.
So when you give a presentation, are you a slide or no slide kind of gal?
No slide.
No slides. How come?
Less work.
That is so true. That is completely the truth. No, it's good. I mean, a lot of people rely on slides as a crutch. And I'm actually one of those people, I absolutely love slides. But I feel like if you can give a presentation without slides, like that should be the goal. But yeah, gosh, that is so true that you just show up and you talk for X number of minutes and you're good to go.
I've already given the speech 10 times, so I don't want to have to update it and then you got to bring the thing and the projector. But a lot of times I have to do slides because I give presentations about video, so I have to show video, which is cool. It's fine.
Sweet.
But now I just recycle all my speeches, by the way. Recycle your speeches. Keep giving the same ones over and over. No one ever knows. It's all good.
Remix it, right?
Remix it.
All right. So when it comes to other speakers, who's somebody out there that inspires you the most and why? Tough one.
Bruce Turkel, who's a local guy who owns an advertising agency, who has really just sort of he's taken me under his wing.
Hey, Skype's not cooperating with us, is it? See. All right, can you see me now?
Yeah.
We'll just pick back up.
Okay, what was I saying?
You were talking about Bruce Turkel, so I'll do a quick intro to loop it back in.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. Skype was not cooperating with us today. So, Jessica, carry on. You were talking about Bruce Turkel and why you love him as a speaker?
Yeah, I love him as a speaker because he's just very generous. He pauses. He is soft. He's lovable. You can't not want to give him a hug. He's just, but he's sharp too. So he challenges your thinking, but then he like warms you up and makes you want to do whatever he says to do. And I think like hypnotizing people to a certain degree and then like being a snake charmer, I think that that's a very good skill to have from the stage.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Now, this should be fun, because if you're the type of person that wears pink Doc Martens on stage when you give a presentation, I want to know what's the funniest, craziest, silliest, most bizarre, like whatever situation that's happened to you when you've been standing before an audience.
Oh, a good one. I was giving this first speech that I had ever given, talking about my vision for badass businesswomen and how it could impact people's way of thinking about how they can do business. And I gave a speech. It was a 30-minute keynote. And about halfway, like 3/4 of the way soon, I was like sort of building up to my climax. I was talking about part of, I was inspiring them to like think big. And I was talking about my own experience and about, thinking I could be really big, but then shooting myself down and like, oh, I would never be that, much of an influencer. Oh, I could never make that much of a difference. And I'm just be satisfied at this level. But if I told myself the truth, like there's no reason that I can't have the same amount of impact that Martin Luther King had, like in terms of people he impacted and ways of thinking he disrupted. And, like I said it out loud and I was like, I could be that. But there's that piece of you inside you that you could be that too. And like, are you willing to say that out loud? Yeah. Like, are you willing to actually believe it's possible that you could be that big of a human being on this planet, and it was like, and you know what? And I got to this moment where I was like, and I said it out loud and I declared it, and it was like this climactic moment, and the audience was sitting there and everybody was on the edge of their seat and they're like, and then all of a sudden the speaker system like goes, like the whole auditorium goes off. It's like glitch and crazy speaker noises. And I am just, it was like 8 seconds of the universe talking to me and us, like validating whatever I had just said on stage. I was just talking. I was like, all right, I, don't know exactly what God sounds like when he talks, but that sounds like it could have been him.
That is bizarre. That's actually one of the craziest things that I've heard, because just the perfect timing aspect of something that wasn't planned.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Jessica, this is a question that's really kind of obvious in many regards, but it's something I like to dig into just a little bit and get your perspective. Clearly, speaking has had a major impact on your career. And as you stated earlier, this has been a lifetime journey for you. But in your own words, how would you describe the impact that speaking has had on your career, on your profession, and the things that you do out in the world?
Well, I think speaking is a gift, and it's like a gift to the world. If you be really honest, there's something inside of you, like the viewer who's watching this and you, Brian, there's like something inside of you that the world needs you, And if you really like take time to think about what that is, like what's your special gift? Like what do you have to offer? Why are you here? And then you develop your capacity to speak that vision out loud and have it filter in through other people's ears and speak in a way that has people listening and speak in a way that people want to hear more, And so I think that speaking, we almost owe it to the world to hone our craft. And even in sales too, it's like, if you're selling a product that you believe in, if you're selling a product that you think people will be better off with if they have it in their life, then learn to freaking speak and learn to sell, because you end up, the better you get at speaking and selling, the more difference you feel like you're making in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well said. Now, the last thing I want to end on is, for all of the experience that you've had, what's like an insider tip, a piece of advice that you would share with somebody who's just getting started, wants to become a better communicator from the stage? Is there anything that you would pass along?
Practice in the mirror. That's when I've given like really big speeches. I write it and I speak it out loud, and then I speak it to myself, and if I can get myself engaged in the content, and I can, feel where it gets flat, and I can feel where it peaks, and I can feel where to get my emphasis behind, by looking at myself, that I think that that's a real way to hone your craft and become, better at the actual art of delivering something.
Yeah. Well, that's surprising, because as somebody who does video production, I thought you might would have said, "Oh, record yourself on video." But the mirror thing is actually a really good tip.
Yeah, I actually hate watching myself on video. I mean, I don't know if that's just a universal thing. Like, every human being hates watching themselves on video, but I don't know. For the most part, I'd rather just do it a little bit in the mirror, as much as I need to, and then just do it.
Yeah, well, that feedback loop that you get when you look in the mirror is so critical. And I know I probably shared this story before on past episodes, but my background is musical performance. And when I used to sing, and I was developing my skills as a vocal performer, I would plug into a system where I had a microphone, and then I had the headphones. And so I would sing into the microphone, and I could get direct audio feedback into my ears to hear what I sounded like. And I could tell if I was either sharp or flat, or what was my breathing like, what was my phrasing like, all of those things. And it was that direct, immediate feedback that, exactly what you're describing, looking in a mirror and being able to see what are others seeing when you're delivering your message. Cool. All right, Jessica. Well, this was fantastic. Thank you so much. We're going to have all the links to your website, the resources, your books, so on and so forth, over in the show notes at whattospeak.com. And I want to sincerely thank you so much for your story, your expertise, your insights, as someone who truly kicks ass when they speak, present, or pitch. So, well, I think we may have to have you back on the show again sometime in the future if you're up for that.
All right, I'm up.
All right, cool. Well, till next time, Jessica, we will see you later.
See ya.
Research in 2009 by Pablo Bernal revealed that by simply taking a posture of confidence, people feel more confident. Well, now there's a device that can help you with this. It's called LumoLift, and I've already pre-ordered mine. If you'd like to boost your confidence when speaking in public through better posture, check out whatthespeak.com/lift to watch the video and grab one for yourself.
All right, here we go with the outro.
Thanks so much for joining us today on What to Speak. Be sure to visit whatthespeak.com for show notes on every episode, and to sign up for our email list to stay updated on resources that'll help you kick ass when you speak, present, or pitch.